Earlier this week at a Martin Luther King Jr. event, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was doing like a panel discussion sort of. And they got into a lot of different topics that have generated a bunch of news, but I wanna focus on one that has become somewhat controversial for some reason. And it has to do with her being asked about why millennials, including her, because she is a millennial, feel this urgency to address what they see as gigantic, potentially civilization-ending issues. Doesn't seem like you'd need to explain that, but she chose to in this video.
I think that the part of it that is generational is that millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is your bigged issue is how are we going to pay for it? And like, this is the war. This is our World War II. And I think for younger people, we're looking at this and we're like, how are we saying let's take it easy when 3,000 Americans died last year? How are we saying let's take it easy when the nth person has just died from our cruel and unjust criminal justice system? How are we saying take it easy when the America that we're living in today is so dystopian, with people sleeping in their cars so that they can work a second job without health care, and we're told to settle down? It's a fundamental separation between that fierce urgency of now, the why we can't wait that King spoke of, that at some point these chronic realities do reach a breaking point.
Okay, so I liked what she said there, but unfortunately she was basically advocating for people to not be unnecessarily killed in hurricanes or sleep in their car to work multiple jobs. So she must be destroyed, and she was. Before we get to the White House response to this, what did you think about her comments?
I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, well, you're a reasonable person. Others did though,
right.
And how dare she imply that in 12 years something terrible is going to happen, that our world might be irreparably changed, or in a very real sense, from the point of view of hundreds of millions of people across the world, would be destroyed. So Sean Hannity was mocking the things that she said there, and had Sarah Huckabee Sanders on, who doesn't really do press conferences anymore, but she does go on Fox News, same thing I guess, and here is what she had to say.
Look, I don't think we're going to listen to her on much of anything, particularly not on matters that we're going to leave into the hands of a much, much higher authority, and certainly not listen to the freshman congresswoman on when the world may end.
So there she says, we're going to appeal to a higher authority. That was not just one offhand remark that she made. Later in that same interview, she said the same thing. We're instead going to focus on things like border security, and for these issues, we'll leave them up to God.
Right, but she's like totally twisting what she's talking about. Like, you have one person talking about science, and then you have another person coming in and turning that into a discussion about Armageddon. Like, it's not where the conversation was going, and that's so disingenuous. It's ridiculous. And then also, why shouldn't a freshman congresswoman matter? Why?
Because she's young.
Right,
Screw
which
her.
is the problem, which is voters are saying we need someone in there who listens to us, because the system has been so full of people who just care about getting reelected. That's it.
Yeah.
And nobody really cares what they do once they're in there. They just are voting people in that they're used to. And we're over that. We actually want to get somebody in there who wouldn't go on national television and essentially say something like, I mean, how in the world can you not afford to miss 2 paychecks? Like, do you know what I mean? And so, the people who are going to be voting in 2020 care. They care. The people who voted her in that position care.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's also not a surprise that these two people are on the complete opposite sides of logic and all things, anything. Well, so it's like, no, I guess I'm not surprised that
sort
she
of
says,
explicitly.
Yeah,
there, where she says, no, we're just gonna leave it up to God. Okay, that feels like a throwback to an earlier time in politics. Like, how many people across America do you think are just be like, yeah, God will take care of it?
Yeah, but God created scientists.
Oh, No.
Yeah.
He's working from the inside then. Okay, so AOC has heard about these criticisms, and look, she'll take you to school on Smash Brothers to the Bible, like it doesn't matter. So let's turn now to the Bible. So she says, for some reason, GOP seems to think this is a gaffe, but it's actually a generational difference. Young people understand that climate change is an existential threat. 3,000 Americans died in Hurricane Maria. The UN says we've got 12 years left to fix it. So the GOP is fixated on this 12 years and the world be destroyed. What is she saying? And they, of course, didn't pay attention to the UN report.
Right.
Exactly. So we reported at the time. Let's remind them. A report by the UN IPCC released last October predicted that there's only a dozen years left to keep global warming to a maximum of 1.5 degrees Celsius. Any higher, even by half a degree, would significantly increase the risk of floods, drought, extreme heat, and potential poverty for hundreds of millions. The authors of the report argue that urgent and unprecedented changes will be required to prevent serious environmental catastrophes. I assume they mean more urgent leaving it up to God. Right. Or something else. And so she goes on to say, Genesis 1, God looked on the world and called it good, not once, not twice, but 7 times. Genesis 2, God commands all people to serve and protect creation. Leviticus, God mandates that not only the people, but the land that sustains them shall be respected. And she finalizes by saying, you shouldn't need a Bible to tell you to protect our planet, but it does anyway.
Hello. And so, right, so it just breaks down to, okay, let's talk Christianity. God didn't say, okay, I'm here, you don't have to do anything. It's like this idea that people always like to make fun of kids. So if you're like, you have a test and you wanna pray so that you do your best, you still have to study.
Yeah. God
isn't a magician. Like that's not how it works.
That would be cool.
I mean, I guess you can pray that you have a really good day.
Yeah.
But if you want to make a good grade, you have to study.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's
you would think, especially if you're gonna bring the topic up.
Right. This is it. So it's just you can't twist it. Like, oh, God's gonna take care of the earth.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's go there. Let's start there. It seems God is telling you to do the work to take care of the earth.
And by the way, the separation of church and state, she's the official representative for the White House going on the air and saying, when it comes to potentially the biggest threat facing our civilization, Jesus or something.
A congresswoman has to tell her how the Bible works.
Exactly.
This is all, and we're making jokes about it. And
if there's some big fires, if there's a hurricane, if there's other extreme weather events that are exacerbated and made more common by climate change, you are on your own. That is what the White House is telling you. Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.